Hello, you are welcome to our last lecture series on marketing management. In our second lecture, we concentrated on trying to explain the concept of product as well as price. Okay, after you've come out with a product that meets the demands of the market, what customers really want, it is important that you price the product in the right way. So we learned about the various methods of pricing. After that, it is important to know how you want to distribute this product to your final consumers or to other businesses that may need these products or services. All right. And then you also have to know how to promote or advertise this product so that you can increase the sales for the products that you have developed. So it is important for us to get this 4 P's right. And during our lecture 2 series, we concentrated on explaining that of products and the price in the marketing mix that companies must concern themselves with. Okay, so today we're going to look at the last 2, and that includes place or distribution. Then we'll also look at the last P, which is promotion. Okay. So I will share the slides and probably off my video so that we'll concentrate on the slides as I provide explanation to this last 2 pieces of the marketing mix. So bear with me. I'm just about sharing my slides. Then afterwards, I will actually be going off so that we can pay attention to our discussions today. Okay. So we have the first P that we want to look at, and it is place or distribution. Okay, so most businesses use intermediaries to bring the products to the market. They forge a distribution channel through which a product must pass between the point of production and consumption. So it is very, very important. And here, most business models will want to outsource this or leave this aspect of their businesses to other businesses to handle. What I mean is that for most manufacturing firms, they may choose to only concentrate in the manufacturing of the products or the service that they want to sell, and then leave the other aspects of distribution of those products to other businesses. All right. So depending upon the strategy or the business model that you want to adopt, you may want to take the role of this place or distribution, or you may want to rely on other intermediaries to do that for you. Some businesses are such that the company that is into that service or into that manufacturing businesses necessarily must also take the role of the distribution. Okay, but most of the time, because your focus or your strength may lie in the manufacturing or in the production aspects of the value chain process, it is very, very important that you concentrate in that particular area and then leave other businesses or intermediaries to handle the distribution aspects of your business. So what is important if you're into that particular type of model where yours is about manufacturing is to now make decision as to which chain or the manner in which you want this the channel you want to use in order to be able to distribute your finished products or services to the customers that you are targeting as a business. Okay, so intermediaries are specialists who have contacts, they have experience, and they have scale of operation and selling. So if you rely on intermediaries, it comes with all manner of benefits that we'll be looking at very soon. Okay, instead of trying to distribute your own products, it will sometimes be advisable for you to rely on these intermediaries to distribute those products for you. So we look at the functions of a distribution channel. So the main function of a distribution channel is to provide a link between production and consumption. They will take whatever has been produced and then transmit or transfer those products and services to the final consumers of those products. Okay, so that is the main function. But there are other several functions that distribution channels play or distributors play, and that can have helped a company actually to perform well or to do well. Okay, so the first is information or market knowledge. All right. Distributors often have a deep understanding of the local and regional markets. They are there. They have been dealing with customers and people from time to time. So they tend to have a deeper understanding of the local market. Okay, right. So they can provide valuable insights into market trends, customer preferences, and regulatory environments. Okay, so if you rely on them, you get these benefits because they have a knowledge of the preferences of customers. They know about the laws and regulations of the area or the market that you want to operate in, and therefore they can help you as a business in order to navigate these issues. Okay, so this knowledge can help companies to make informed decisions and assess the risks associated with entering new markets or introducing new products. All right, so those are the benefits that a company can get if they choose to rely on some distributors or some channel instead of trying to do the distribution all by themselves. Okay, the closely related to that is the aspect of negotiation. If a company chooses to partner with distributors or any of the value chain partners, they have a better understanding of the market. They have a better understanding of customer preferences, their tastes, and so on and so forth. So they can help the company to negotiate better in dealing with these customers than the company trying to sell the products all by themselves. Okay, so the market knowledge or information that distributors or distribution channels normally have can help companies and businesses to negotiate better in selling their products, and even sometimes in the acquisition of raw materials, because they have better knowledge of the market. All right. Then distribution channels play a critical role in promotion because they are closer to the final consumer, where they put your products in terms of the shelf, and so the prominence they give to those products in their shelves can be an important advertising advantage for any company. Okay, how they communicate that product. Don't forget, there will be the final people that will actually be talking to customers about your product. Okay, so their knowledge and their willingness to highlight the benefits of your products can help a company to do very, very well. All right. Then obviously they help in the physical distribution of your products to the final consumers. Otherwise, they help in the supply management process. Okay. So distributors are responsible for managing inventory, logistics, and supply chain. They can help companies optimize their supply chain process, reduce lead times, and enhance overall efficiency. Effective supply chain management can mitigate the risks of stock outs, overstock situations, and disruptions in the production process. They are very, very important too. So it is very, very important, as I indicated much earlier, that you do a thorough analysis of the business model that you want to operate. But most of the time, it is very, very advantageous to leave out the distribution to other businesses that have the knowledge and experience to handle. Okay. Distribution channels can help in risk taking. The first and foremost is, once again, the market knowledge. Okay, because they know the taste and preferences, they can always advise as to the type of product that a company should be selling in order to be able to make some profit. So they help. much earlier, we said risk-taking doesn't simply mean just diving or gambling. It is important for you to conduct market research to understand taste and preferences. And your distribution channels can help in providing such information in order to make the decision whether you want to produce a certain product or service. Okay. Closely related to that, they sometimes help in sharing risks when it comes to, say, holding products. All right. So, for example, they may agree to hold inventory on consignment, meaning the company doesn't bear the financial risks until the product is sold. So they may agree to hold your product, and they are responsible, or they will be taking the risks until that particular product is sold. So that is another advantage of actually having distribution channels or relying on other companies to distribute your products for you. Then finally, they can provide financial support or financing. All right. So some distributors offer financial assistance to their partners. This could be in the form of flexible payment terms. All right. Consignment arrangements or other financial incentives. As a matter of fact, some will undertake advance payments for the products that they want to sell. So before the product is even given to them, they are somewhat willing to pay in advance in order to help the company to undertake their operations or production activity. Of course, it depends on the demand for that particular type of product and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the roles or the functions that distribution channels play. And once again, it is very, very important for management of businesses to make the decisions, the type of business models that they want to run. Will they want to do what is known as forward integration, or they want to stay in their core business of manufacturing? All right. If you were to stay in your core business, most of the time, that is where you have your strengths. That is where your competencies are. And so if you rely on other businesses, you may be benefiting from this. One, information and market knowledge. They will help you to be able to negotiate better because of knowledge and information. They can help in promoting your goods or services. They assist in the physical distribution or supply chain management activities of the company. They help the company in the cost of risk-taking, and they can sometimes provide financial support. All right, so these are the functions of distribution channels. So we have levels, distribution channel levels. There are two major levels. We can have direct marketing. As the name suggests, this is where the producer sells directly to the consumer. Then we can have indirect marketing channels. All right, that is where the distributor will either sell to a retailer, then the retailer sells to consumers, or the producer will first and foremost sell to a wholesaler or other types of businesses. Then the wholesalers or businesses will then sell to a retailer, then the retailer then finally sells to the consumer. Okay, so the direct, as the name suggests, is from producer to consumer, but the indirect could take the form of producer, retailer to consumer, or producer to wholesaler to retailer, and then to the final consumer. Okay, so we have types of distribution intermediary. Okay, so we have wholesalers. Who are they? So wholesalers are intermediaries who buy products in bulk from manufacturers and sell them to retailers or other businesses. So they buy these products in bulk, and they in turn sell to other businesses or retailers. Okay, so they typically operate on a business-to-business model. They don't normally deal with final consumers. They will sell to other retailers who are also into business, or there are types of business that will finally be dealing with the final consumers. So wholesalers normally deal with other businesses such as retailers. They don't normally sell directly to the final consumers. Okay. Wholesalers focus on the physical movement of goods and often provide storage facilities for manufacturers. That's the other trait of wholesalers. They normally have huge warehouses and they help producers to be able to store their products. That is the explanation I gave earlier when I was talking about risk taking. All right. They can buy in bulk, and then sometimes even when they have not paid, they may agree or assume the risks and keep the goods until they have finally been sold. Then they pay for those goods. Okay. Then we have retailers or dealers. All right. So retailers, dealers, yes. So maybe let me explain the dealers because it will address retailers as well. So dealers are businesses that sell the products directly to end consumers. Okay, they can be retailers, resellers, or other entities that operate at the final stage of the supply chain, interacting directly with customers. So very similar to retailers. They all have similar traits. They interact directly with customers or consumers. All right. Then we have distributors. Who are they? So distributors, like wholesalers, are intermediaries in the supply chain. However, distributors go beyond the role of simply buying and selling products. All right. So wholesalers buy in bulk and then they sell to other businesses or retailers in bulk. Then the retailers and dealers will then sell to the final consumers. Distributors are very similar. They also tend to buy in bulk from producers or manufacturers. But beyond that, they offer some services. All right. They may offer additional services such as warehousing, inventory management, order fulfillment, and sometimes marketing support. So if you're a distributor, the role of a distributor tends to be much higher than that of a wholesaler. Okay, they do more things beyond just buying in bulk and selling. Okay, then we have franchises or franchising type of business. They are also into the distribution. Okay, so franchises. So franchises are business model where an individual or entity known as a franchisee is granted the right to operate a business using the trademark, brand, and business model of an established company known as the franchisor. Okay. In a franchise arrangement, the franchisee pays fees or royalties to the franchisor in exchange for the right to operate under the established brand and receive support in various aspects of the business. With franchises, okay, so they simply use the business model of other businesses, but in return for that, they are supposed to pay certain fee known as franchising fee. And from time to time, they are supposed to also pay some amount known as royalties to the franchisor. Okay, so we have franchisee, the company that is going into that agreement. We have the franchisor, that is the original company that is giving the franchisee the right to use their business model, brand name, trademark, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you were to see a franchisee, right, it will normally be very, very difficult for you to differentiate it from a franchisor type of company, because under franchising arrangement, the standards and the requirements of the franchisor are such that after the business has been established by the franchisee, normally the standard operating procedures should be the same. Okay, there are strict rules that need to be followed, such that the services of the franchisee or the goods of the franchisee shouldn't look different from the original company that gave the franchisee the license to be able to do that. All right. Then finally, we have agents. So in the context of supply chain, agents are individuals or entities that facilitate various aspects of the supply chain processes. Okay, so it is not just an ordinary knowledge of, even though, yes, it comes from the word an agent, helping out, okay, other people. So within the context of supply chain, agents facilitate the various aspects of the supply chain processes. Okay, so these agents can play specific roles in helping products move from manufacturers to end consumers. So, for example, we could have shipping agents. They have the role that they play. We have customs agents, we have sales agents, and we have several other types of agents that play critical role in the supply chain management process. Okay, so these are the types of the distribution intermediaries that we may have. So we may have wholesalers, retailers or dealers, distributors, franchises, then we have agents. Right, then we have physical distribution management. So aspects of the P that a firm needs to be concerned about. As I indicated, they may not be those directly in charge of it, but you still have to be concerned about it because you are dealing with, we are talking about your product or services. So you need to have a knowledge of the physical distribution as well. If you're a company that is in charge of this P also, then that becomes one of the additional things that the marketing department must really be concerned about. Okay, so physical distribution is concerned with the transporting of merchandise, raw materials, or byproducts such as hazardous waste from the source to the customer. All right, so the transportation of all of these things from the company to the end customer is what is known as the physical distribution. It is concerned with inventory control, packaging, and handling. All right, this should be obvious. So in the physical distribution management, we are interested in whether we have enough of the goods that we have to transport, whether we have less of them, and so on and so forth. How have they been packaged? Because damages and breakages and all manner of destruction could come as a result of poor packaging. So under physical distribution, packaging is very, very important. And then handling, how these things are packed into the trucks, and all those things are very, very critical under physical distribution. So physical distribution management involves controlling the movement of materials and goods from their source to their destination. So yes, to be able to undertake the physical distribution management, you have to rely on transportation or transport, all right? So it refers to the activity that facilitates physical movement of goods as well as individuals from one place to another. Transport supports trade and industry in carrying raw materials to the place of production and distributing finished products for consumption. All right. So I think transportation or transport is an everyday experience. And so I don't have to belabor this point. So importance of transport, it makes available goods to customers. It helps in creation of employment. It helps in labor mobility. It helps during emergencies and natural calamities, and it enhances standard of living. As I indicated, we all can bear witnesses to this, so I won't have to spend a lot of time here. The modes of transportation, we have road transport, we have rail transport, we have water transport, we have air transport, all right? So all of these are means by which goods and services, maybe goods within this context, can be moved from the place of manufacturing or production to the final consumer. Okay. So let's deal with the last P now, which is promotion. And basically it's about marketing communication. All right. How do you make sure that consumers or customers get to know about your product and buy more of your product instead of those of your rivals? All right. So pay attention. We started with product itself, how to come out with new product, and the product life cycle, and many other things about the product. Then we came to how to price the product accurately or appropriately in order to make sure that you get customers to want to buy your products. Then we just spoke about distribution or place, how to ensure that the goods that you spent a lot of energy and time and resources to create can be sent to the final consumers. All right. Then the last one is promotion. It is not as though that is the last in the sequence, but it is the last in the way we're discussing this 4 P's in the course of this lecture. It is very, very important. You may have a very good product. You may have priced the product very well, all right, based on the value that you are offering or the utility that you are offering. The price makes a lot of sense. You may have established the right distribution channels, but if customers or consumers do not know about these products or your services, they will still not patronize those products and the product will fail. Okay, the product may not be able to complete the product life cycle that we discussed much earlier. So the last P should not be taken for granted. And most times businesses are quite reluctant to invest in this area because it doesn't involve anything tangible. You can't really see the direct impact of whatever you are investing in. All right. You need to do further research, further analysis to see the impact of the marketing communication tools. And so most businesses, whilst they will spend a lot of energy coming out with right products, invest a lot of time, decide on the right price, invest a lot of money in the distribution, they are normally reluctant when it comes to promotion. But if you fail with this last P, all the other investments are likely to go waste. So it's important that if you're into business, you pay attention to how you promote the goods or the services that you're offering to clients or consumers. Okay. So it is a means adopted by an organization to communicate with its customers. The business's total marketing communication program is called the promotional mix. All right. So we have various means or methods to communicate with customers or to get the message as far as your product or service is concerned to customers. All the various methods or strategies, when you pull them together, they are known as the promotional mix. Okay. So the promotional mix consists of advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, public relations tools. So all of these are means by which companies can use to be able to communicate their products or services or company to consumers or customers. And together they are known as the promotional mix. Okay. So let's look at what they mean. So we have advertising. Advertising is a paid non-personal communication used to reach a target audience in order to get them to buy a product. All right. So most of the time you pay for adverts and it is non-personal because normally the adverts will rely on some media in order to inform customers about that product or that service. It is not like personal selling where you have a salesperson or a human being going to talk to another person. All right. It might be through the internet, it might be through television, radio. All right. So it tends to be non-personal communication. Okay. But you have to pay for that. Then you can use sales promotion. It's a short-term incentives to encourage customers to make a purchase now. All right. So we'll look at the examples of sales promotion much later. So any short-term incentive, sometimes there could just be free samples given to customers just to encourage them to buy your product now. Okay. So taste and see if it is good. All things being equal, the customer may be willing to buy right there and now. Then we have public relations. So it's a means used to obtain favorable publicity and handling unfavorable rumors about the organization. So there is a connection. Most of the time, much earlier, when we're talking about pricing, we said one of the determinant of a pricing policy is the reputation of the organization, the image of the organization. So it's very, very important. Even though PR is not about a specific product, yes, the product will also have a bearing on the image. Most of the time, it's about the image of the organization, and the image may be altered or disfigured as a result of some default in the product or the service that the company is rendering. Okay, so investment must be made to promote the image of a company. If the company has done something bad, they need to also invest in PR in order to deal with those unfavorable rumors or wrongdoing about the company. It is not really about covering up. You can still be honest, and the honesty could help in building the image of the company. So PR doesn't mean cover-ups or lying to your publics, but even when you are wrong, the admission that you are wrong and telling the publics what you are doing about that mishap can be another way to regain the reputation of the organization. Okay. Then we have personal selling. So unlike advertising, personal selling is the personal presentation by the firm's sales force for the purpose of making sales and building customer relations. So with personal selling, it is not some television that is talking to you. It is not some advertisement on YouTube. It is not some radio advertisement or whatever, but you have a real human being, the salesperson of the company, coming to talk to you to convince you to buy the products of that particular company. Okay. So what are the general objectives of promotion? They intend to inform. So basically, sometimes the promotional tools are basically to give you information, right? That this exists, or if you want to use this is how to go about it. Or it could be to persuade. Okay, so persuasion is where they want to convince you to buy a particular product. Okay, so that is that. To create an image, we spoke about the PR. Sometimes those PR techniques and tools are used in order to build a good reputation and image for an organization. Then lastly, to ascertain reassurance. So part of it is to use promotional tools to assure customers that whatever the company said they will be doing or they are into, that is indeed what they are doing. All right. So it's just to provide some assurance to customers and clients, probably with regards to either quality or the price or the nature of their products and services, just to assure customers that the company has not changed. Okay. So advertising. So these are the tools and the promotional mix that we just looked at. So advertising is the media used, and this include the medium used include print and electronic media. So you can advertise in a print form or in an electronic form. The two basic aspects of advertising are the message and the medium. So you have to pay attention to the message that you want to communicate when you're advertising, but the message alone is not enough. You have to also note the medium that you want to use in order to advertise, okay? Each of them very, very important. So if you get the message wrong, the medium will not be able to help you, okay? If you get the message right and you don't get the medium of advertisement right, the message will not have much impact. All right. So the starting point in the selection of the appropriate advertising is known as media analysis. What is it? Media analysis is the investigation into the relative effectiveness and the relative cost of using the various advertising media in an advertising campaign. So you need to do media analysis to see which of the outlets available is the most effective for the type of message that you want to carry across, and also the relative cost. If you compare it to other outlets, which ones could help? Okay, and relative costs doesn't simply mean choose the cheapest. We said it's about the effectiveness as well. So you're paying attention to effectiveness of that particular medium as well as the cost that is associated with that medium. All right. So determinants of advertising medium. What should help you determine whether you should use print or electronic? And if it is electronic, what should determine whether it should be television, radio, or the internet? Okay, so point one is to look at the reach of the media. How wide is it? Is it within the context of the customers that you want to communicate with? Or two, how wide is that particular option that you want to rely on? So the reach of the media is one point. The other is the nature of the product. Very, very important. Okay, so depend upon the type of product that you want to sell. All right. There are some products that you don't have to waste your time going on the internet to, because once you get onto the internet, it should have a national, or if you want regional or international, the product should have that particular type of nature. All right. It's something that is needed in the entire country. It is a product that is probably needed. But if you're just dealing with something within your vicinity or your town or something like that, okay, it's a product that is used only locally, you may be thinking about, say, the local radio station in your vicinity and so on and so forth. So the nature of your product should co-determine the type of advertisement that you should be using. Okay, some products, yes, will require that you use, for example, if you most businesses or universities in educational whatever will rely on the internet, and more specifically say YouTube, to make advertisement. Okay, because most of the content there will attract people that may be interested in stuff like education and so on and so forth. So the nature of the product can influence the position of the product in the product life cycle. All right, we explained that when a product is at the decline stage, you don't invest a lot. You want to be more selective in the type of advertising mechanism or promotional channel that you use. So the position and the product life cycle. If this at the introductory stage, you want to pick a medium that can create more awareness for that particular product, and so on and so forth. If it has at the growth stage, you want a medium that can persuade people to buy. So where the product is at the product life cycle can determine which advertising medium you should be using. Then, of course, lastly, you want to pay attention to the cost of the medium. All right. The cost should not exceed the returns or the benefits that you'll be getting from those advertising investments. So it's important that you do your own analysis, cost-benefit analysis, before deciding on the advertising medium. And of course, some tend to be very, very, very expensive. So you want to pay attention and make sure that you'll be getting some returns before you invest hugely in those advertising medium. So importance of advertisement: one, to create awareness, customer interest, or desire in your product. Advertisement can help to boost your sales. It can help to build brand loyalty. All right. I think in our lecture too, we spend time on branding as well. Once you establish that brand, and also we spoke about product positioning and so on and so forth. Once you build the brand in the minds of your customers, you don't subsequently have to struggle to sell or convince them to buy from you. So it builds, advertising can help to build brand loyalty. It can assist with launching a new product, all right, because nobody really knows about the product. So you need more of advertisements to create product awareness. It can help to change customer attitudes, all right. So if customers had some attitude, you can use, most of the time, informative advertisement to clear any rumor that they may have, to build a company's or brand image, and to remind and reassure customers. So all these are some of the importance of advertising. So types of advertising: you can have persuasive advertising. It tries to entice the customer to buy the product by informing them of the product's benefits. All right. So persuasive, you want to emphasize the benefits or utility of the product in order to convince customers to buy the product. We can have informative advertising. It tries to give the customer information. So just to inform them about certain things concerning the company and its products can also be a form of advertisement. Okay. Then we could have other forms of advertising, such as print advertising. You can see adverts in newspapers, in magazines, in brochures. You can have outdoor advertising, the billboards, the kiosks, the trade shows are examples of that. We can have broadcast advertising, TV, radio, and the internet. We can have covert advertising, that is advertising in movies, all right? So whilst watching a movie, sometimes you see some advert running in the movies. It's known as covert and advertising. Then we can have surrogate advertising, so advertising indirectly. So they will not really tell you that they are advertising, but it is a form of advertising, okay? They are talking about a particular subject, and then they keep using their company as an example of a good model of that particular subject that they are talking about. Yes, so that becomes an example of advertisement, but it is not direct. Then we can have public service advertising. So where you advertise for social causes, not necessarily to be able to sell to make profits, but to promote a particular social cause. It is known as public service advertising. Then finally, we can have celebrity advertising, okay, where you have a very known personality being used to advertise a particular product or service. Okay, so how can a firm judge the effectiveness of advertising? So the effectiveness can only be judged based on the advertising objectives. Okay, why were you doing the advert in the first place? Don't forget, we said we can have persuasive and informative advertising, right? So was it that you want to increase sales, stimulate an increase in sales? If that is the case, you can measure the effectiveness by looking at whether your sales revenues have gone up, all right? Was it informative? So to remind customers of the existence of a product, if that is the case, you can find out whether that objective was achieved. To inform customers, to build a brand image, build customer loyalty and relationship. So whatever the advertising objective was, then that becomes the basis to judge the effectiveness or otherwise of that particular advertisement. Okay. Then we have personal selling as another promotional mix too. So the strategies where a salesperson goes directly to customers or potential customers to convince them to buy a particular product is known as personal selling. We've explained that earlier. So there are two strategies. You can use push strategy. That is where you encourage intermediaries to buy the product. So when you encourage your intermediaries, you've looked at them, wholesalers, retailers, retailers, dealers, distributors, agents, all those guys, all right? And if you sell directly to customers as well, customers then becomes the people that you can convince to buy. So if you encourage intermediaries to buy the product, so you can use personal selling relying on the push strategy, or you can use the pull strategy, where instead of encouraging retailers to buy more of the product from you, you rather focus on building some support systems for your retailers and providing after-sales service. Okay, so you want to support the retailers because as you support them, it makes it easier for them to be able to sell more of the product. And as they sell more of your product, automatically they have to come and buy more of that particular product. Okay, so they are closely related, but the push strategy is where you simply want to ask them to buy more. But with the push strategy, you want to concentrate more on building support systems for your intermediaries. And by doing so, you will indirectly be encouraging them to buy more of your product. Okay. So what are the roles of the sales force in an organization? So they help in prospecting. All right. So most of us, or almost all of us, will have had the experience where somebody just walk into your office and cold knocking of doors to find out whether you want a particular product or service. Okay. And even when you are busy, they won't let you alone. They will keep on trying to convince you to buy into the product or the service that they are selling. All right. So that is the S as prospecting, where you go around looking for potential customers for your product. Right. Then communicating. When they come in, they have to explain the uses of the products. Most of the time, however, they won't tell you the side effects, right? But that should have been part. But they will try to highlight the benefits and the utility of the product that they are selling with a bit of just convincing you to buy. Okay. Then we have 3, which is selling. After communicating the benefits, the uses, the features, the ultimate aim is that they want to sell to you. So personal sales or sales force also are into selling. Then they can offer servicing. All right. So they can offer support. If you agree to buy, sometimes they will fix the equipment for you, or they will help you install the software and train you or provide some basic guidance as to how to use that particular product. Okay. So Salesforce perform that role as well. Then they help in information gathering. Very, very important. All right. So we said much earlier when we were talking about new product development or anything business, the need for you to get information from your customers and to know their preferences. The sales force are those that deal directly with customers and therefore are more likely to know about changes in taste and preferences and several other things about customers. So they can help the company to reshape and refine their product to meet the changes in taste and preferences of customers. Okay. Close to that, they help in allocating. They know at what time and what type of product should be sold at a particular market. All right. So they are able, because they have knowledge of the market and local conditions of customers, they are able to tell which product should go where, when to sell what, and so on and so forth. That is the idea of allocating. What are the advantages of adopting personal selling? 1, to obtain a high degree of customers' personal attention. All right. With radio, with television, internet, the person can choose either to listen or not to listen, right? Most of the time, you'll be in your sitting room and the television is on, your mind is somewhere, you are not really paying attention, especially if the adverts are boring, you don't normally pay attention. But if it was a human being in front of you making presentations, you'll be forced to pay attention to that particular person. Okay. So it helps in getting customers' personal attention. They can customize the message to meet the needs of the customer. So as they interact with you, especially if you are friendly and you open up to them, whatever need that you have, they can always convince you that that product can help you solve that particular problem, okay, or that need. So they don't have the same messages. As they interact with you and they realize that this is your need, they can convince you and address or customize that message for you to be convinced that their product or service can help you in dealing with that particular need. Okay. So the other advantage is to respond directly and promptly to customer questions and concerns. Okay. If it was television advertisement, who do you talk to if you have a question? But with personal selling, the agent is there, the salesperson is there. And if you have any questions or concerns about the product, you can ask them for clarifications. All right. The personal selling assists to explain the technical and complex features of the product. So as I said, they are there. So any questions that you have about a particular product, as a matter of fact, there are some products that the best way to advertise them is through personal selling. All right. That was where we're talking about the nature of the product. If the product is very complex, the use requires some form of training, you can't sell such product by just advertising. Okay, you may use that, but you also have to rely on personal selling to explain the technical and complex features of a particular product. Okay. And then they also assist to demonstrate the product to the customer. All right. So that is that. So these points are very, very important, and also explaining the way in selecting the medium of advertisement, right? We said the nature of the product. So if the product is very complex, that should tell you the promotional tools you should be using. Right. Then the other tool that is available as far as promotion is concerned is public relations. Okay. So the Institute of Public Relations defines public relations as the planned and sustained effort to establish and maintain goodwill and mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. All right. So it's about the organization as a whole. This time around, not the product or the service, but the entirety of the organization, trying to have a good rapport with their publics. Okay. The role of public relations is to identify the relevant publics. So who are the relevant stakeholders that the company or the organization need to be mindful of? So it is the role of PR to know that. Influence the opinions of those publics, all right? Because you want them to have a favorable impression, opinion, have a good image about your organization. So part of PR is to put in place mechanisms that can influence the opinions of those publics that have been identified. Then to reinforce favorable publics. So if you have some section of those stakeholders and they already have some favorable opinion about your organization, you want to reinforce those opinions, all right, to strengthen those opinions about the company. Then if the reverse is the case, where they have unfavorable or bad image, reputation about the company or impression about the company, you can change or neutralize those hostile opinions through public relations. Okay, right. So that is that for public relations. So let's look at sales promotion. We said it's normally a short-term incentive that is provided in order to convince a customer to buy a product now. It may include advertising campaigns, PR activity, free sample campaign, offering free gifts, exhibitions, temporary price reductions, and so on and so forth. Okay, sales promotion is about action to stimulate customers to buy the product. Sales promotion is directed to either the ultimate consumer or distribution channel. All right, so you want to convince either your final consumer, customer, or the distribution, the intermediary to buy from you by offering some of the short-term incentives. So the methods, that's what we just spoke about. So the techniques could include price promotions. You can use coupons, gifts with purchases. You can use competitions and prizes, money transfers, frequent user or loyalty and incentives, point of sale displays. All of this can be methods or techniques for sales promotion. Okay. Factors that determine the type of promotional mix. All right. So we said there were several types of promotional mix. We looked at advertising as one. We looked at personal selling. We looked at PR and so on and so forth. So what factors should we consider in determining, for example, whether to use personal selling or to use advertising or to use public relations and so on and so forth? All right. And I think that will be our last slide. So the resource availability and the cost of each promotional tool. I indicated much earlier that the cost of promoting shouldn't be more expensive than the revenue that you get from the promotion. All right. So you have to look at your resources and the cost of the promotion, each promotional tool, to make that decision. Your market size and concentration, very, very important. I explained that if the product is just for the local market and it is not an international product, that should determine, or not a product with international usage, that should determine the type of promotional tool or mix you should be picking. Okay. Then customer information needs. Is it for, are you going to advertise as a means of reassuring customers, or you want to pick that promotional tool because you want to create awareness? If it is awareness creation, the tool you should be looking at probably will be different than if you simply want to reassure customers of that particular product. Reassurance basically means that the customers already know about that particular product. If you're creating an awareness, what it means is that customers do not have much information about your product or service. And so you have to do more in order for them to get to know. Okay, so these 3 points can help in determining the type of promotional mix an organization can use. Thank you very much. So this brings us to our end as far as our discussions on marketing management within the context of fundamentals of business is concerned. Thank you for your attention once again.